If you're constantly tired, with no energy and zero motivation, you need to take these 5 tests. In 90% of cases, they reveal the cause of that fatigue. Hello family, welcome to another video here on our channel. Most of the time, this lack of energy is due to simple deficiencies that can easily be detected with these 5 tests. But pay attention, you might have taken these tests and they were misinterpreted. That's why your results might have come back normal, yet you still have symptoms. So write down these tests, check whether they're part of your routine checkup, and learn how to evaluate them correctly. And of course, hit like on this video. Don't forget my video. Thumbs up, share it in your groups, and tell me, are you feeling this way? Tired? With no energy? If you've discovered the cause, let me know in the comments below. My friends, don't forget to visit my website. There you'll find all the supplements I use and recommend. You're always asking me about dosages and the best brands. You always want to know which is the best magnesium, what the correct dose is, and which omega-3 is best. It's all on my website. My courses are there too, along with my other social media. Digitado R de Rei Moacir junto, .com.br. As I mentioned, you might have already taken these tests, and they appear theoretically normal within the reference range. But be careful, pay close attention to that reference range. It can mislead you and lead to a false diagnosis. Want the first example? The most common cause of fatigue and weakness is low ferritin. What is ferritin? It's our iron reserves. Iron, my friends, is essential for red blood cell formation. And red blood cells carry oxygen to all the tissues in our body. If your iron is low, your red blood cells suffer. And when red blood cells suffer, your brain, heart, and muscles receive less oxygen. What's the main consequence of that? Weakness, fatigue. So you take your ferritin test and it comes back as 30. You look at the reference range on the report and see that anything above 20 is considered normal or negative. My friends, the ideal ferritin level is above 60. Just think about that. 3 times higher than the minimum shown in the reference range. But why is that? Moacir? Because that reference range isn't the ideal amount you need for optimal health. It's just a population average based on people who take the test, and the average among them is low ferritin. This is very common, especially among women. So your ferritin should be above 60, preferably above 80. See? You might be within the reference range, but still need to replenish your iron due to low ferritin. My friends, you need to eat more red meat. Liver is also very rich in iron. That will help normalize your iron levels. If your levels are very low, then let's be clear, it's definitely necessary to supplement iron intravenously. Here's another very common example, my friends. Thyroid hormones. What tests measure thyroid hormones? TSH and T4. Many people check TSH and T4 and the results come back normal, yet they remain tired with no energy for anything. They actually have hypothyroidism. That's because 2 key tests are missing. The hormone that truly boosts our metabolism and gives us energy and vitality. It isn't T4, it's T3. T4 must be converted into T3, and it's T3 that acts on your cells. So you can't just measure TSH and T4, you must also measure T3 and reverse T3. So if you're experiencing weakness and fatigue, don't just test TSH and T4, also test T3 and reverse T3. Only then will you get an accurate diagnosis of hypothyroidism. Another example, okay? Vitamin D, my friends. I'll go out on a limb and say 90% of the Brazilian population has low vitamin D. Because we don't get sunlight anymore, right? Sadly, nobody has the time or conditions to get 40 minutes of sun exposure every day. Some people, depending on where they live, don't even get enough sunlight, right? So our vitamin D levels are low, and again, you look at your test report and it says anything above 20 is normal. But 20 nanograms per deciliter isn't enough. Your vitamin D should be between 60 and 80 nanograms per deciliter. Why is the reference range so low? Moacir, as I explained before, it's based on population averages. And since nobody gets sun, the average is pushed way down. So your levels need to be between 60 and 80 nanograms. And vitamin D? It's not just important for immunity or for regulating our DNA and preventing disease. It's actually a hormone and it's essential for energy production. So if your energy is low, it could be due to vitamin D deficiency. Look, here are 3 examples where the reference range can deceive you. Want another one? Vitamin B12. Vitamin B12 is responsible not just for energy production, but also for memory, cognition, and especially brain energy. And vitamin B12 deficiency is becoming increasingly common in the general population. So Moacir, what's the ideal B12 level? It should be above 800. My friends, listen, this happened to my mom, okay? She went to her doctor who ordered a B12 test and her level was 250. That's extremely low, but it was still within range. Remember how I explained that the range is just an average? The doctor said, it's perfect, but I looked at the report and told my mom, no, it's not perfect, it's extremely low. She was having trouble thinking clearly, and her memory was failing. Why? Because of low B12. And ideally, my friends, you shouldn't even rely on the standard B12 test. That B12 blood test can give a false impression of your actual B12 status for several reasons. The best test to assess your B12 levels is methylmalonic acid. Few doctors order this test, but it's the most accurate way to evaluate your B12 status. So if you're experiencing weakness or fatigue, check your B12, it might be low. And finally, cortisol. But wait, cortisol is a stress hormone. Yes, high cortisol isn't good, chronic stress isn't healthy, but low cortisol is also a problem. It's cortisol that gives you that morning energy boost. The cortisol spike in the morning is what wakes you up feeling energized and ready to go. If you wake up already tired without energy or motivation, it could be due to low cortisol. And again, the test is often evaluated incorrectly. Most doctors, actually the majority, order a blood cortisol test taken in the morning at the lab. But that's not the right way because cortisol levels fluctuate throughout the day. So, stress hormone, cortisol is a stress hormone, cortisol, stress hormone, it's a stress hormone, bye. Then the doctor says, perfect, your cortisol is normal. But by afternoon, it drops and that's when you hit that wall of fatigue. Many people experience this afternoon crash and low mood because their cortisol is low in the afternoon. So ideally, you should measure it first thing in the morning, again after lunch, once in the early evening, and if you wake during the night, take another reading. But you can't do that by drawing blood, right, my friends? That's when you need a salivary cortisol test. You use a cotton swab and a little test kit. This cortisol curve can reveal the well-known burnout, right? So many people suffer from burnout. Back in my day, we used to call it exhaustion. It's chronic stress, my friends, and many people struggle with this. Among other symptoms, this is assessed by cortisol levels, but you must do the salivary cortisol test. See, my friends, these are 5 tests you might have taken that all came back normal, so to speak, within the reference range. But if you examine them under a magnifying glass, if you evaluate them more closely, you'll see you might need to replenish iron, regulate your thyroid hormones, supplement vitamin D, and restore vitamin B12, and assess whether you're suffering from burnout, so you really need to pay close attention when reviewing your test results. My friends, visit my website www.dedidadoherederemoacirjunto.com.br. On the site, you'll find all the supplements I use and recommend. My B12 supplement is there. I take B12. To keep my levels above 900, the vitamin D with K2 that I use, it's all on my website, my courses, my other social media. Check them out. And if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, my friends, it's free. Just click subscribe. Don't forget to hit the bell icon and make sure to select all. I hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Be sure to share it, and I'll see you in our next talk, my friends. Until then,